Today, we're diving into a fictional story that really gets under your skin. It explores one of our most primal emotions. And look, this isn't just about what might be hiding in the dark. It's about the pure, unfiltered terror of coming face to face with it. We're using the classic creepy backdrop of remote New Mexico to really dig into what truly scares us.
Now, this quote is the absolute key to everything that's about to happen. Just think about it for a second. Fear? Well, fear is that anxiety you feel thinking about what's in the basement. It's that slow, creeping dread of the unknown. But terror? Oh, terror is what hits you when the basement door swings open and something is standing on the stairs. There's no time to think, you just react. And that feeling is the heart of this story.
So, our story doesn't actually kick off in some haunted forest. Nope. It starts in a fancy corporate boardroom. Here we meet Mr. Mehta. He's the head of this huge construction empire. And then there's his son, Mehul, who, let's just say, seems way more interested in spending his inheritance than actually earning it. And right here, this is the main problem. You've got Mr. Mehta, who's watching his life's work circle the drain because of his aimless son. And Mehul? He just thinks the whole empire is going to be handed to him on a silver platter. So, the father comes up with the test. He gives Mehul a brand new construction project over in the United States. This is it. It's Mehul's one and only shot to prove he's got what it takes. And to get things rolling, his trusted cousin, Ratan, goes ahead of him to get the site ready.
Okay, so now the whole story shifts over to New Mexico. Ratan gets to the project site, starts sending daily email updates back to Mehul. Everything's going according to plan. And then, just silence.
This is right where that feeling of dread starts to creep in. I mean, one day of silence. That's a little weird. A second day? Okay, now that's genuinely concerning. But by day 3, Mehul knows deep in his gut that something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. He's got no choice. He has to get on that plane and find out what happened to his cousin.
So Mehul arrives, and he finds out this project is smack in the middle of a forest that has a really dark reputation. You know the kind, the place all the locals avoid, whispering stories about paranormal stuff? The site itself is just this one single isolated wooden house. When he goes inside, he finds 3 construction workers, but not the person he flew all this way to find.
This is the only question that matters to Mehul. Where is Ratan? But when he asks the workers, he just hits this wall of silence. They kind of look at each other, dodge the question, and then just go back to what they were doing. Their reaction is so immediate and so unnerving, it is crystal clear they are hiding something. As night falls, Mehul and the workers decide, hey, let's just stay in the house, we'll get the project done faster. Bad idea. As total darkness settles over this notorious forest, the true horror of their situation is about to show itself. So they're all sitting down for dinner, and one of the workers just casually brings up the local legends. It's that classic horror movie moment, the dire warning that comes way too late. He starts talking about a house in this very forest where, years ago, 10 people just vanished. Their bodies were never found. And right as that chilling thought is hanging in the air, there's a knock at the door. One of the guys, trying to be the rational one, gets up to see who on earth it could possibly be, out here in the literal middle of nowhere. He steps out into the pitch-black night, and the door clicks shut behind him. But he doesn't come back. So they crack the door open to look, and they see him just standing in the dark, motionless. His back is to the house. He won't answer when they call his name. Mehul panics and slams the door shut, and that's when a second knock booms through the house. This one is way louder and way more aggressive.
Another worker says he's going out. Mehul is begging him not to, but the guy opens the door and steps outside anyway. And just like the first one, he doesn't come back either. So now there are 2 of them standing silently out there in the darkness, and 2 of them trapped inside. The odds have just changed. And then, everything just descends into total chaos. Mehul is watching from an upstairs window, totally helpless, as the last worker just walks out of the house, almost like he's in a trance, and goes to join the other 2 silent figures outside. In that moment, he is completely and utterly alone. Out of sheer desperation, Mehul finds a single bar of cell service and calls the property owner. The owner doesn't even wait for him to explain. His voice is pure panic as he rattles off these 4 super cryptic instructions before just hanging up. The message couldn't be clearer. His life now depends on following these steps exactly. So Mehul does what he's told. He goes to the basement and enters the room on the left. And this is what he finds. Not tools for escape, but tools for a hunt.
This is a massive turning point. The horror he's facing isn't some ghost he has to run from, it's something physical, something that can actually be killed. The entire dynamic just shifted from flight to fight.
He hears this guttural growl from upstairs, and Mehul comes face to face with this monstrous creature in the kitchen. He fires the crossbow in a total panic, and the poisoned arrow hits its mark. As the creature dies, its body starts to twist and transform, right back into the form of one of the workers. The legend is real. He's fighting a shapeshifter, a predator you find in folklore all over the world, terrifying because it can hide in plain sight. He knows he can't stay trapped in that house, so Mehul bolts and ends up fighting for his life out in the dark woods. After this brutal, desperate battle, he actually manages to kill the other two shapeshifters disguised as workers. He's wounded, he's exhausted, but he's alive. And then he hears footsteps.
And who walks out of the darkness? Ratan, his cousin, the very person he came all this way to find. For just a second, it's this overwhelming wave of pure relief. Ratan looks a little beat up, but he's alive. They stumble toward each other, and Ratan pulls him into a hug. But in that embrace, a horrifying realization hits Mehul. He smells a familiar, foul stench, the exact same one that came from the creatures he'd just killed. With an arrow that he had hidden behind his back, Mehul does the unthinkable. He stabs his own cousin, who collapses and transforms, revealing that he was the final monster all along.
The fight might be over, but the mystery isn't. The owner's warning is still echoing in his head, not the right. Mehul has to know. He has to know what was so terrifying that it had to be kept hidden, even when his life was on the line.
So he goes back into the house, back down to the basement, and he forces open the door the owner warned him about. The smell that hits him is just overwhelming, and the sight that greets him explains everything in the most tragic way you could possibly imagine. Inside are the bodies, the real ones. The three workers he met, they were imposters from the very beginning. And there, with them, is the body of his actual cousin, Ratan. The creatures hadn't just scared them off, they had killed them and taken their places, just lying in wait for him to arrive.
When the police finally show up, the owner confesses everything. And this is where we learn that the story's true monster wasn't the shapeshifter, it was human greed. He knew about the legends, but he just dismissed them as rumors because he was desperate to sell the land and make a profit. His choice to ignore the warnings is what unleashed this entire nightmare.
And that leaves us with this final, chilling thought. You know, we dismiss so many things as just folklore. That's just stories. But what this story suggests is that maybe we shouldn't. What if every terrifying legend, every monster we tell tales about, actually began with a horrifying truth? A truth that someone, somewhere, had to live and die to discover.